All right, what's up, guys? Happy Monday. We are back. We actually have an action-packed night tonight with Carcharhinus melanopterus, the blacktip reef shark. So I'm really excited. There's actually a lot of material on this species. It's one of the most, I think it's one of the most beautiful sharks in the world. Just the way. Hey, what's up, Howard? Happy Monday. Good to see you again. Thank you so much for your art, by the way. I'll wait for some other people to join the stream before I show it. But yeah, that was actually one of the best, one of the coolest images I've seen. It's probably one of the best pieces you've made. So thank you. So I'm excited to share it once we get some more people on the stream. But yeah, I'm excited for the blacktip reef shark. So tonight is going to be really action-packed. We got a lot of material. There's a lot of footage on this species. There's a lot of studies on this species, which is no surprise. It's a very popular species in aquaria, and it's also such a easy species to access in terms of diving, just being a shallow water tropical species that frequents coral reefs. So. And great places to dive, like shallow tropical habitat. So it's no surprise that we have a lot of information on this species, but even so, I'm really excited to dive in tonight. So how was your weekend, Howard? And I had a really busy weekend. I was actually visiting family, so I'm this is probably going to be one of the streams. I'm going to start out really tired, and then as we get going, I'm going to kind of catch my second wind, if you will. So, but this is a pretty interesting footage, by the way, from Tony Griffiths. So let's go ahead and subscribe to that and leave that a like. But this is blacktip reef sharks in the Maldives, and it's kind of cool. You get to see. Oh, hey! I didn't know you. I just saw your comment. Fired up my Harley. I didn't know you were a. We call it like a cyclist. That's not a cyclist. That was like a motorcyclist, but a biker. Biker. There we go. Sorry, I'm really losing it. Biker. That's awesome, actually. What kind of Harley is it? And actually, I both model and I don't really know much about motorcycles. What is there a special or a specific kind or type of motorcycle that it is aside from the model or? I used to have a bike. I do remember in high school I used to have a bike book on. Oh, cool! 948 Panhead. Let's look that up really quick. I'm actually really curious. Sorry, shout out to your bike. I'm 948 Panhead. Is that it? Harley. Whoa. Okay. I think I see it. What? That is awesome. Wait a minute. 1948. Gotcha. Sorry. 1948. Oh, man. That looks amazing, actually. That is so cool. Wow. That is... Howard, that's an awesome bike. That actually, I don't know much about bikes, but that looks, I don't know if intimidating is the right word, but that's actually that's a beefy looking cycle. That is awesome. This is so cool. I'm sorry, I'm totally a geek because I don't know anything about bikes, but that looks really awesome. So awesome, yeah. Well, it sounds like a good weekend. I'm glad you got to take that out for a spin. So super cool. By the way, let's go ahead and shout out. Just want to showcase your art. Thank you so much for submitting this and sharing this. This is super cool. I especially love that one of my favorite things about blacktip reef sharks is that it's one of those color patterns in nature that is kind of subtle at first glance, but then when you really kind of pay attention to it, I think it's a very beautiful color palette. I've talked about French angelfish before, and I feel like French angelfish fall into this category where this shark is this beautiful bronzy body, and then there's this nice cream color patch until you get to the black tip, there's something about that whole interplay that I think it makes this an exceptionally beautiful species. So, and I also love that it's a smaller sized shark. So it's kind of like this like. It's this like beautiful small. I don't know how to describe it, but there's something about blacktip reef sharks that are just like uniquely beautiful. But I really appreciate you got like the pale color or the pale patch before the black tips. The proportions look fantastic, and there's even a great hammerhead in there. So with a pilotfish. So. But that looks super, super cool. I really appreciate you having both of these sharks here. I also love the great hammerheads, like the teeth, because we talked about on one of the streams how great hammerheads, I guess, have like a double row of teeth, and it makes them look like an actual bristly mouth. So I love that detail as well. But this is super cool. I think the colors and like how everything is positioned. This is kind of one of my favorite pieces, to be honest. And like I'm adding it to the collection. I'm so excited for the end of the year. I think we're definitely gonna do like a cool. A gallery of all the pieces, like the 2023 pieces from, guests of the stream. So yeah, this looks awesome. So thank you so much for setting this in. Speaking of guests of the stream, some fun update on my end. We are going to get another speaker. So my pleasure, man. Let me go ahead and start that. We're going to get another speaker. So just like we have with Connor. So we're 90% there. I still need to call her in terms of like we basically have already talked about like she wants to do the stream. So, but she's super cool. She works with Ocean Plastics, and we're picking out a shark to cover in a few weeks from now. So right now we're in the phase of just kind of talking about what we like what topics we want to discuss for the live stream. But this will be our second guest streamer. I'm super excited to have her on. So. More details to come on that, but I think we're going to have that happen soon. And we haven't picked a shark yet, but we're kind of narrowing it down to maybe a tiger, maybe an epaulette. What was the third one that we were talking about? Not hammerhead. There was a hammerhead. There was one more that she was kind of interested in. But I think it's either going to be a tiger shark or epaulette shark, kind of based on this person's research and experiences. But stay tuned. We're definitely going to be doing another. I'm 90% sure we got this. Like we're definitely going to be another guest stream, which I'm really excited about. So, but yeah, that should be in a couple of weeks. And I think with that, we can probably just get started on the blacktip reef shark. So let me go ahead and I had this kind of slowed down. Let's go ahead and do normal speed. So we'll start with this kind of piece of footage, just with feeding behavior and just kind of like a general look at the species. There's a lot of cool different clips around YouTube, so I've picked out some of the ones I thought were the best, just kind of showing the biology of the species. So we'll have this kind of running while I go over Sharks of the World in terms of what the blacktip reef shark is about. And it's funny, in Sharks of the World, the profile is kind of small, considering like how much we know about this shark. So, So let's see. Lives in the West Pacific and Indian Oceans, with a few records from the Eastern Mediterranean, introduced through the Suez Canal from the Red Sea. That's actually kind of wild when you think about it. I didn't realize that. I mean, I don't know the salinity of the Suez Canal, but I didn't realize that some sharks could actually go through that to get from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean, which is wild because those are completely different environments. Like Red Sea is like a tropical environment, and the Mediterranean is, a temperate environment. So that's actually really amazing that some sharks can do that. So that's extremely cool. Strong, active swimmer, dorsal fins above surface in very shallow water, alone or in small groups, though it is not a strongly schooling species. By the way, these sharks are so beautiful. Kind of growing up, this was definitely one of my favorites, especially kind of like just on TV and Discovery Channel, because this is a shark you would see so often in clear, shallow water. It was like a shark that, I could totally see myself like, maybe like diving with one day or snorkeling with one day. Like, I just love like how close to shore, you don't have to be that deep to find this shark. There's something about it just was really cool to me when I was growing up. So this is definitely one of my favorite species from childhood. So And I'm loving, you can see it pretty clearly in here. Like, the entire caudal fin has a black margin, which is really cool. I don't think the classic blacktip shark has that. And also, the black tips on the blacktip reef shark are much bolder. They're much bigger, much bolder than the classic blacktip shark. So this species, I would say, is like unmistakable. I don't think you could confuse this species with anything else. So it's a beautiful, beautiful shark. A formerly common Indo-Pacific reef shark, steep population declines in some areas due to unmanaged industrial and artisanal target and bycatch inshore fisheries, probably also threatened by reef habitat deterioration. Important for aquarium display and for dive tourism were still common. Very occasionally bites people swimming or wading on reefs, but more cautious when encountering divers. Interesting. So, very shallow water on coral reefs and reef flats, also near reef drop-offs, 0 to 100 meters. So this is an exclusively epipelagic shark. Loves that sunlit zone, which is really cool. Rarely offshore or in brackish water. Interesting. So, all right. So, oh, how big do these get? Mature males, 90 to 100 centimeters. So that's just, wow, that's just 1 meter. Maximum is 180 centimeters, so maybe 2 feet at most, but typically a meter. That's pretty wild. So, and that's about 3.3 feet, 3.3 to 6 feet. So that's really not that big of a shark as far as like this family Carcharhinidae goes. So, but it's something I love about it. It's kind of like I like the compact size of the species. It's so cool. So, I saw drone footage of huge schools of these sharks feeding on small schooling fish and in turn being preyed on great hammerheads. Ooh, I can see it. That's actually, that would be wild to see. But like, wow, that's actually really cool. Because I think great hammerheads are one of the few. I don't know if scalloped hammerheads get pretty big, but I don't know if they go after other sharks. But great hammerheads do. So that's actually really cool that there's footage of that. So. Also, what is this? That looks like a needlefish almost. No, not a needle. Well, actually, no, yeah, kind of. That's a weird fish. That looks a lot like a. This is a totally different part of the world, but we have something similar in the Chesapeake Bay. I don't know what is this? That really reminds me of needlefish, but. That is a weird looking fish. So fun fact about needlefish, they're secretly dangerous. Like, no one really talks about needlefish and how potentially hazardous they are, but what it is that needlefish get so, like, large needlefish get so excited, like, if they're hooked or if they kind of, like, are going after prey, that sometimes they can launch out of the water and they can actually impale you, believe it or not. It's a weird thing that happens. I've heard this from, I think I had some friends in VIMS telling me the story that like needlefish can be that. It's like swordfish. Like swordfish are very dangerous, kind of for that reason. But needlefish, I mean, it's typically a much smaller animal. You wouldn't think it would do anything. And it's not doing it on purpose. It just gets so excited, and the way how fast it is, and the way its body is like designed is like, it can actually be harmful. So, random fun fact about needlefish: it's not a friendly, skinny fish sometimes. So, but we have a lot of them in the bay. I've never seen a really big one. But that was interesting. I'm really curious what this. Go back to that really quick. Kind of nerding out a little bit, but I'm very curious what this fish is. Because it's moving a lot. I mean, it looks so much like one. I know this is a shark stream, but like this fish is actually really fascinating me. I don't know what this is. It's moving so much more slowly than needlefish I'm used to, and these are pretty big size. I don't know what those are, but yeah, interesting. Let's rewind, because I was reading from Sharks of the World. I do want to kind of watch this again just to see if there's anything interesting that I might have missed while I was kind of reading from Sharks of the World and talking about needlefish. So, let's see. Also, the music, by the way, this is a blast from the past. This is Zoo Tycoon. I think this might be the newer version of Zoo Tycoon, which I've never played, but I was a huge fan of old Zoo Tycoon. That was a delightful game. I think it was like 2000 that came out, but it was super fun. And oh man, sorry, I love this shark. I remember old Zoo Tycoon had these like fun expansions. There was like a marine expansion, which I always played, and then there was a dinosaur expansion, which I didn't play as much, but the Marine World one was super cool. Oh my god, this is so beautiful. Like, can you imagine it just like being here? You know, just like sitting in the water with blacktip sharks, like Maldives. Man, that would be like, it's like right there on the beach. That's so cool. I would just love to like sit down with like, you know, like a snorkel mask and just kind of like, you know, let these pass by. It's so cool. What's fun, I don't know what this was shot on, but it is really nice that we have, because I think when I was growing up, underwater cameras were just so much, they weren't really super, like publicly available underwater cameras weren't really super user-friendly or durable, and I'm really happy we're in this age of like GoPros, like, you know, for what a GoPro does, it's not that expensive for, you know, considering like what it does, and it's like really cool that it's so much more accessible to kind of get. I don't know what this is shot on in particular, but it's so much. It's so cool to know that you can get like good quality footage on the GoPro, like good quality underwater footage on the GoPro, and that like, you know, people can have that. You know, like just it's. I don't know. I'm just happy that we're kind of in this day and age where that's something that everybody can, not everybody, but like most. I feel like for what it is, like an underwater camera, it's not like this professional item anymore. Like people can, you know, who are passionate about the ocean can just do this, you know. So it's interesting seeing this individual cut through the middle of the school. As far as I could tell, this seems pretty random. You know, this is not like coordinated or anything. Every shark is kind of doing its own thing, as far as I can tell. And I love seeing this egret-looking thing. When I used to live in Florida, great blue herons would actually stand next to fishermen because they knew that the fishermen would catch a fish. And they would go right up to them. They actually were not afraid. Like, I think further north, you know, herons get to be a bit more shy. But down in Florida, I mean, you know, there's plenty of examples, or there's plenty of. It's not uncommon to see one standing next to a fisherman on the beach. You know, which I think is very clever. So. Yep, on the beach with pina colada watching the sharks. Absolutely. Hell yeah to that. Amazing to watch the school part as the shark glides through. Yeah, it's so, like... oh, hey! A great blue heron rookery in Toronto. Awesome! Wow! That is so cool. Like, so what's fun... I'm used to, like, so many animals having, like, smaller regions, but I think birds... I feel like birds... and maybe marine mammals. Birds and marine mammals, maybe sharks kind of, but like birds and marine mammals, with birds being the superlative, like have such an enormous range. It's actually really cool that, you know, we're in different countries, but we probably are getting a lot of the same species as far as birds are concerned. So great blue heron is one of my absolute favorites. But that is really cool they have a rookery in Toronto. That's actually awesome. Like those birds are... I feel like in North America, that's actually one of the closest birds you can get to like a dinosaur. That sounds really strange, but just like when you hear great blue herons like calling, like it's really like a terrifying roar. I don't know. There's something about them that I feel like have kind of more of that like. I mean, like, technically, as far as evolution is concerned, birds are dinosaurs, or the descendants of dinosaurs. But like, I feel like great blue herons are just kind of one of those that they feel more dinosaur-like. You know, it's one of the many reasons why they're my favorites. So, or one of my favorites. But yeah, to your earlier comment, it is really cool seeing the fish part in response to the shark, and yet still keep such a tight formation. You know, like the sharks like cut through them, but they're still kind of holding together. They're not like exploding and breaking away. So it's really fascinating seeing these like you know, the shark slicing through, and it's like the behavior of these fish is like kind of keeping them together. It's such a fascinating interplay to see that. Just want to rewind just to that part, just kind of getting more of that shark kind of cutting through. So more on like a poetic side, because I think when I started doing Dr. Jaws, I was leaned more into poetry, or did more like creative writing with it, and this whole dynamic of sharks kind of like cutting through things. I mean, I think there's something like you can extrapolate that to a lot of different concepts, but it's really cool that, you know, this animal is sort of like pushing the water, you know, like by its will. It's like this is this one individual animal that like exerts its force on the world and has like a very visible impact on the world, and just like exemplified by, you know, this one individual shark like affecting all these different fish. Like it's just swimming and kind of like cutting this wake in the water. And even just like by like, you know, like a shark's body plan where it, you know, like a shark is like this distinctive first dorsal fin, you know, slicing through the water, breaking through the surface. There's something that I think is like you can there's a lot you can do with that, you know, poetically or like, you know, artistically, as far as just that. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just as far as that force kind of going through the world, like cutting through the world, like exuding itself upon others. Like sharks are such a beautiful personification of that, or a beautiful example of that. And it's really cool to see that specifically at play in this example, where, you know, all these fish are responding to the force of this one individual. It's such a beautiful dynamic, and it's one of the many things I love about sharks. If you kind of like look at them from more of like a poetic standpoint, or less of a scientific standpoint, and more of like, you know, what does this mean in terms of like a philosophical standpoint, or just like a cultural standpoint. This is one of the many things I really like. So it's so cool. The school is like a single organism. Yeah, I mean, it is actually really... That's a good point, like, because I think baitfish... I'm not as familiar with, like, why baitfish do this, but I do think it is a survival strategy where somehow, kind of through evolution, it's like fish that scatter are more easily... picked off, whereas if a school stays together, the odds of an individual within that school surviving are much higher than if individuals break away. So I think that's why baitfish do it. It's sort of like an evolved survival strategy, in terms of just like your odds of surviving are much higher if you just stick with the school, you know, as opposed to breaking away, because you'll be easy to grab. It's also part of why one of the reasons I believe baitfish are silvery is that it's confusing, reflecting reflecting the sunlight and kind of like trying to be a block as opposed to like an individual. It's something that's hopefully confusing the predators, but it is really interesting to see how baitfish behave in that way, because it's like, you know, they don't necessarily have to do that, but it's actually really cool to see that in that predator-prey dynamic. So, so this is from Philip Koch. So liking and subscribing. This is a cool shot of blacktip reef sharks. in deeper water, slightly deeper water. With, these look like parrotfish. I might have that wrong, but this is so cool, actually. This is, I mean, this is such a great requiem shark, like Carcharhinid, to study, you know, because it just has that classic build. You know, it's like kind of like one of the, it's like a perfect build as far as like those requiem sharks go, but it's also distinct. You know, the color pattern is just like so beautiful and so unique to this species. So, and it's interesting seeing this is a loose aggregation. There's not really, as far as I could tell, we'll have to kind of rewatch this, so I might slow this down. I don't see any social behavior happening. Like, so social behaviors we talked about last time on the last week's stream are like tailing. So, you know, kind of nose to tail. That's more of like a mating behavior. Another one that we haven't really talked about is yielding. If two sharks are kind of swimming towards each other, one kind of forces the other to yield. So that's an interesting one to kind of look at. Because sometimes that could be like a dominance thing, but it depends on the species. So one of my favorite studies was talking about yielding in aquaria and how bull sharks never yield, which is kind of wild. And it's a little bit on the nose, you know. Like I know bull sharks are like, you know, said to be the most aggressive in, you know, yada yada yada, but bull sharks, when put in a tank with other species, they don't yield. Other species like sand tigers or I forget the other one, sandbars, they actually have to kind of give way to bull sharks if a bull shark is coming through. So let's rewind that. No ads. I want to rewind that. So no ads. So sorry about that. Skip ad. I don't want this thing. Okay. Let's replay. And let's make this bigger, actually. Let's make it bigger and slower. Just to see if we could see something. And leave a comment in the chat too if you can see any behaviors. Because like, another thing to pay attention to is, I think these are all female. They all look large enough to be, maybe, I don't know if that, they don't look like young, like neonates. I think they are all large enough to be adults or close to being an adult. But from what I can tell, it looks like these are all female sharks in a loose aggregation, kind of like sort of swirling around this point. I don't know if they're interested in the cameraman or if they're just interested in this area for a particular reason. That might be, hold on. That's interesting. That's one thing. I'm sorry, this is kind of tricky. There are two sharks that are kind of swimming towards each other. So these two, I believe. I can't tell from the angle if that, like, how close that is, but that could be a yielding behavior. I'm not as familiar with like what would qualify as that, but that was interesting. That's kind of a close pass between these two. Because you think about like the entire water column, like, you know, these individuals can go anywhere they want, but it is interesting if you see two of them kind of heading close towards each other. And this is fun, like, you know, I as far as like hypotheses, like, you know, behavioral questions, stuff like this is really fun. Like as far as like footage review, you know, at first glance you wouldn't really maybe notice some things, but if you kind of like spend some time with different pieces of footage or different or a field observation, spend some time with any kind of animal, honestly, you'll maybe see some things like that, for example. Hold on. The shark and the fish kind of checked each other out for a second. Sorry, this fish and the shark. Hold on. I just saw it. There was a. Hold on. I literally just saw this. Hold on. I'm not making it up. There was a shark that kind of flinched from that fish. We'll get there. Because I'm actually very curious about. Okay, so here's the fish. Okay, yeah, there we go. Sorry, that's what I saw. So the shark and the fish check each other out, and then quick flinch away, which is kind of interesting. I don't know what that means, but they definitely responded to each other, and it's interesting to kind of see that reaction. It's a pretty strong reaction between the two, because the shark makes a very sharp turn. It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know what that means per se, but I don't know what it is about each other that kind of spooked each other. But that is definitely like a response to that particular fish. Everybody else is just cruising. So yeah, it's just like things like that. Like it's cool. Because when I was an undergrad, we did behavioral studies. You would sit with. We did it more so with like primates, but like you would sit for a while with different individuals, different animals, and after a while you see certain behaviors kind of emerge or come out. And it can be a lot of different things. There's a lot of different things happening, in terms of like, think about all the senses that any shark has, like the electromagnetic sense or the lateral line, like what stimulates them, like what kind of things are they sensing right now. So, yeah. Shark behavior would be a really fun field. I don't know how popular that field is or how much you can really do as far as behavioral research with sharks, but that would be a really fun field to get into. So we have a lot to learn in marine interactions. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. Like this would be so. Sorry. Like behavioral studies would be so cool to do. And I just don't know. I don't know how popular a field that is. I don't know how much funding it really gets. But they would be, as far as like an enjoyable study, it would be a lot of fun to do. And I think, there definitely are like shark behavioral studies. I think we might see a couple tonight, as far as like when we kind of dive in deeper to the species. So, speaking of behavior, this is a pretty clear. This is probably the clearest clip I've ever seen on YouTube or on the stream so far in terms of like mating behavior. This is classic shark mating behavior, but it's the clearest that we've ever really seen. So I thought it'd be worthwhile to play. So, but this is male and female blacktip shark. The male is pinning the female's pectoral fin down as they copulate. So all sharks fertilize internally. So it's interesting. It's as far as evolution goes, it's completely separate from what like mammals like do, but yeah, it's still kind of analogous, which is kind of fascinating to see. What's interesting is as we kind of like learn more about the species later. Sorry, let me replay part of that. Is the fact that they're both on the seabed, and I don't know if blacktip reef sharks are obligate ram ventilators, meaning that they need to swim in order to keep breathing, or if they can buccal pump. I don't think they can. I think they are ram ventilators, so we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that as we go further into studying them tonight. But the point being, is this a energetically taxing behavior? Is this kind of dangerous if the sharks are not swimming? Or is this something that they can maybe get away with as far as buccal pumping goes? So that'll be pretty interesting to kind of take a look at later. And then last clip that I had, pulled up. Actually, let me make this theater mode so I can see the comments still. Is baby blacktip sharks in Thailand. So, let's see. Which these are adorable. And also, actually, I feel much more confident kind of seeing this clip that the blacktip sharks that we saw interacting earlier were probably adults. So that's cool that we were seeing earlier, because these definitely look very small. Yeah, you can tell the size difference. So that I definitely think the clip earlier was adults or sub-adults. So I don't know if it's just me. I feel like the markings look bolder on these individuals. That could be. I don't know if that's just me, but what do you think? Like, what do you guys think? Because I feel like maybe like the black tips and the fin margins are a bit more distinct looking in these juveniles than in the adults. And also, these are completely adorable. They're so energetic. That's a good shot. This is so cool. They also look. This is gonna sound really strange, but they look softer or rounder. You know, like than adult sharks. Like softer features. They don't seem as like. I don't know how to describe that, but these are definitely baby sharks. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it's totally, this is totally one of my favorite species. It's so pretty. It's such a beautiful shark. Yeah, just and it's I just love how shallow the water is. You know, like people can just swim with these. It's so cool. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that someday, but I don't know, maybe. Hopefully I'll be able to kind of swim with these sharks someday. Because, like, for me, I mean, I work more with Atlantic species, so I definitely want to maximize all the opportunities I can get to do, you know, like, just to be with Atlantic sharks. But this is just too cool. So this is from Fat Fish Movies. Let's subscribe to that. So cool. Just catch up on comments. The adults do look different. I think the adults are a shade darker, so there's more contrast with the juveniles. Ooh, good call. Yeah, let's take a look at that again really quick. Yes, I think you're right, Howard. That's a good eye on that. Like I think you're totally right with that. Let's look at the adults for comparison. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, like the adults, like the copper, kind of like the copperiness of the adults is darker. So like with the juveniles, the black tips do look more distinct. So nice, good call. Yeah, I didn't notice that detail. Juveniles appeal somewhat leaner. Yep, I definitely agree with that. They definitely look, yeah, like because like they look super lean. There's a couple. I think there were a couple adults here. They looked a little bit porkier. Like it's still overall kind of a lean build, but I definitely agree that the juveniles look a lot like less robust. Like you could definitely tell that. It's so cool comparing like these two different life stages of the same species. So like the basic color pattern is the same, but like just the body, you know, the proportions are so different. I'm noticing too now that the eyes probably are bigger on the babies. Just cause like I don't know how much eye size really changes as the body size increases. So that's something I'm kind of noticing here too. But they're like a wolf pack. Yeah, I'm curious. We should dive into some behavioral studies because I'm curious, like, what this shark is like socially. So, I had a lot pulled up. So let's take a look at. I don't want to. I don't want to click away from the baby sharks, but we'll do this now. That's a good shot to end on. So, okay. Let's take a look at what we have. Sex-based differences of movement space use. That could be kind of cool. The genetic structure. We already did a genetic study last week, so let's maybe table that one. Long-term movement patterns of trophic ecology of blacktip reef sharks. That might be cool. I think the sex-based study might be better. Response to shark bite products. Again, there was a lot. There's a lot of research that just caught my eye for tonight. So let's start with this. This is another one from Plus One. It was super cool. Plus One was super cool last week. I think this sounds kind of interesting. Sex-based differences in movement and space use of the blacktip reef shark. So let's just check this out and see what we can see. So this is by Audrey M. Schlaff, Michelle Hupel. I think that name is familiar, actually. Vinay Adyawer and Colin A. Simpfendorfer. Simpfendorfer is actually, where was this published? Simpfendorfer is a name I recognize in the shark world. That's actually Colin Simpfendorfer. He actually has published a lot of shark research. So that's a name that's come up a couple times. So this might be a pretty interesting study. So all right. Information on the spatial ecology of reef sharks is critical to understanding life history patterns, yet gaps remain in our knowledge of how these species move and occupy space. Previous studies have found on offshore reefs and atolls with little information available on the movement and space use of sharks utilizing reef habitats closer to shore. Cross-shelf differences in physical and biological properties of reefs can alter regional ecosystem processes, resulting in different movement patterns for resident sharks. Let's see, I'll just kind of sum this one up because we have a lot of research. So. Let's see. Although this is a cool sentence. Passive acoustic telemetry was used to examine residency, space use, and depth use of 40 blacktip reef sharks, Carcharhinus melanopterus, on an inshore reef in Queensland, Australia, and assess temporal or biological influences. All sharks showed strong site attachment to inshore reefs, with residency highest among adult females. Interesting. Sharks exhibit a sex-based seasonal pattern where males move more, occupy more space, or explore new areas during the reproductive season, while females utilize the same amount of space throughout the year, but shift the location of space used. Depth use was segregated some small sharks occupying shallower depths than adults throughout the day and year, most likely as a refuge from predation. So baby blacktips like to be on shore. Adults can go into wider range of habitat. Okay, this is a really cool study. Awesome. Oh, shoot. Audio is fuzzy. Can you hear me? I think it's probably because I was clicking quickly between different research sites. How's it now, Howard? Sorry about that. Yeah, I think I was shifting too much on the different journals. So let's see. So locations of acoustic receivers on different reefs. Whoa. Okay, better. Awesome. Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you. This is kind of interesting. Let's see. Presence plot of 40 blacktip reef sharks captured and released at Orpheus Island. Females are red, males are blue. Showing presence at the study site, circles, and offshore reefs, black diamonds. Okay. Oh, interesting. And gray bars indicating maximum transmitter life. I see. Okay. Resonance roaming analysis of small and large individuals indicated by small and large circles. Okay. Respectively, with values ranging from 0 to 1 for low to high resonancy roaming. So, okay. Roaming incidents. Interesting. Okay. So this is actually a really cool plot. This I'm not as interested as this one on the right. So, so from 0 to 1, you can kind of see, you can definitely see a pattern. So the small dots are the smaller sharks, the big dots are the bigger sharks. With the females, you can definitely see an interesting pattern where small females don't really tend to roam. And is residency index low residency? Gotcha. So, okay, so small females do not tend to roam and do not tend to have residency somewhere. Larger females, some larger females tend to roam, or sorry, tend to have a highest residency index, and some of them have a higher roaming index. But you can definitely see like there's sort of a general difference between males and females, where the males kind of as a trend have a higher roaming index, which is kind of cool. These two males in particular have a very low residency index but a high roaming index, so they don't stick in one place for a while. They are going to different places. So this is so interesting. I like this chart because it's kind of showing that there's a group of adults that do have a high roaming index but also have a high residency index. There's two males that have a high roaming index but not a high roaming residency index, and then there's a large group of females that don't really roam at all. They rather stay in one place, and then that's more so apparent with the juveniles. The juveniles don't really roam at all as well. So this is a really cool chart. This is a really cool graph. Interesting. Because the most important thing kind of gleaned from this is you can just see differences, adult males, juvenile males, adult females, juvenile females. You can see that they're not all in the same space. Like as far as like their like habitat preference, you can see that there's distinctions. So this is a really cool illustration of like size and sex-based differences. This is extremely important for fisheries management, because you can make a fisheries management plan saying, okay, we'll protect, this reef, and that might be okay in terms of protecting like adult females, but adult males of the same species might totally not benefit from that at all. So dogfish are a really good example where dogfish definitely need different kinds of management approaches because dogfish are very sex segregated, or highly sex segregated in terms of their migration patterns. So this is a really cool study. This is a really cool chart. So really appreciate how they illustrated that. So let's see what else we got with this. Just details, just a lot of data. Okay. Oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. Effective size and month on core space use. Effective size and month on extent of space use. So if I'm reading this correctly, okay, so females don't really change their behavior throughout the year, kind of like the abstract was saying. Males, however, around November and December, and November-December is Australian summer, so this is actually the warm season is this time frame. They do change their habits, which is actually really cool. It's interesting to see a seasonal difference with just the males, not really the females. So that's actually extremely cool. Okay, more data. A lot of data. Okay, here we go. I like charts. I mean, especially for like a stream. Something more visual in nature. I think is important. I think raw data, while great, is not the most presentable thing. So. Let's see. High values of overlap indicate little change in location between consecutive months. So it looks like proportional change in activity space. I think this is kind of like a different version of the same point where, around the summer, the Australian summer, male blacktip sharks change their habits. But throughout the rest of the year, they're kind of in sync with the females, which is pretty interesting. So, oh wow, what is this? Oh, interesting. Okay, so this, if I'm reading this correctly, so this is kind of cool. This is plotting depth, and the bold lines are kind of like the mean of all the individuals of like either males or females. The dotted lines are each individual shark, but you can definitely see a difference. Make sure I have this right. Okay, A and B are small sharks. C and D are large sharks. As far as the small sharks goes, you can see that the males actually do change like how deep they go in the summer season. So small females, like juvenile female blacktip sharks or blacktip reef sharks, they tend to stick with shallower water. But males during the summer, they tend to go to deeper water, which is kind of interesting. And then it looks like the larger females are at a deeper area altogether. So this is actually really interesting. You can see a difference between the mean depths where the smaller sharks are hovering around 0 to 2 meters. So that's, what is that? 6 feet of water, right? Did I have that right? 6.6, 7 feet of water. And then for the larger sharks, they get to be, they tend to spend more of their time in deeper water. So that's about 4 meters or, I can't, it's this stupid metric system. No, not the metric system. The stupid, I don't know what the American system is even called, but it's not the best. 13 feet. 13 feet. So, I don't know what our system is called. The archaic system. I'm not really sure what it's called. But, anyway. Pounds and feet. But, hey, Roy, what's up? What's up? No worries, man. I'm glad you can join us. This is a pretty cool. This is a really cool species to talk about tonight. So we'll review the footage again later. But it's Blacktip Reef Shark. So hope you had a good Monday. So good to see you again. Also check out Howard's artwork. This is a super cool illustration of the Blacktip Reef Shark along with a great hammerhead. Which Howard reminded me is a predator of Blacktip Reef Shark. So it was really cool. That adds a whole other dimension to this artwork. So, but it's super cool. Thank you again, Howard, for sharing this. So just wanted to do another shout out before Roy joined us tonight. So glad to have you, Roy. We were talking about Blacktip Reef Shark habitat use and how it changes between males and females or adults and juveniles. So we pretty much checked all the graphs. I think we kind of have the gist of this study, but I'm just going to skip ahead to the discussion just to see if there's any interesting piece of information with this. So. Results from the study revealed distinct sex and size-based patterns in how Blacktip Reef Shark move and occupy space on onshore reefs. Sharks exhibited a seasonal pattern of movement in space use that differed between males and females. During the reproductive season, males moved more, occupying more space and exploring new areas within the array, while females utilize the same amount of space throughout the year, but shifted the location of their core and home ranges during this period. Interesting. In addition, the highly coordinated annual migration of 2 adult males to the study site corresponding with the onset of mating season indicated long-term seasonal site fidelity likely related to reproduction and provided evidence of connectivity with offshore reefs. Movement patterns by males may represent mate-searching behavior, while females may be driven more by habitat selection, relocating during the reproductive season to areas favorable for gestation or parturition. See, this is a really cool study. It's a complex species. This is a complex shark utilizing coral reefs in a unique way. So this is super, super cool. Size effects were also observed with some smaller sharks, particularly females, using less space and shallower depths than adults. Most likely a product of refuge behavior by juveniles utilizing protective shallow water mangrove and sandflat habitats within the study site. Research from the study supports previous research conducted on atolls, remote islands, and within separate coastal bays, showing blacktip reef sharks to be strongly site-attached to coral reefs, indicating that this is most likely a universal species trait and thus highlighting the importance of inshore reef habitats. Super, super cool. This is actually really fun to see with this juvenile footage, because you can see very clearly, this is extremely shallow water sandflat habitat. So this is a great place for juvenile blacktip reef sharks to be, and this is a great place to get away from larger predators. So it's actually really cool to kind of like read through that study and then kind of re-examine some of like the footage with that in mind. That smaller blacktip reef sharks tend to want to be in shallower water as potentially a means of predator evasion. So larger sharks don't really tend to spend a lot of time in these shallows or these shallow sand flats. So it's really cool to see that, that this is potentially a way to kind of protect the babies from larger predators. So. And we'll watch the whole clip again, just catching up on the comments. So. Did you have a good weekend, Roy, by the way? You have to rewatch the beginning of the stream because Howard, it wasn't his motorcycle, it's his kind of motorcycle. Howard was sharing his Harley Davidson, which is super cool, so I had to Google it. It looks really, really rad, so I definitely recommend rewatching the beginning of the stream once this is like fully published and everything. But yeah. I myself had I'm actually really tired today. I had a really busy weekend visiting family. So, because I drove up to Northern Virginia, so that's about 3 hours away from where I live. So, but let's see. Man, I love these sharks. I've been gushing pretty much the entire stream of just like how beautiful I find this species, but I just think it's a really, just the color pattern, I just think it's a uniquely very pretty shark. So, but let's check out some more. Actually, let's see. I wonder if there's a good summary. There's one that I'm kind of curious about. Yeah, we haven't seen this website before, but this is the National Aquarium of the United States. This is the also known as the Baltimore Aquarium. So I've been here a couple times. It is very nice, but and I think so. Fun fact: there's actually used to be 2 national aquariums in the United States, and I've actually been to both, which I'm happy to say because one of them is closed. So there was the. You're gonna sleep good. Oh yeah, dude, I'm gonna pass out. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm definitely. It's been a busy weekend, but in the United States there used to be 2 national aquariums. There was the National Aquarium in Washington D.C. and the National Aquarium in Baltimore. So the Baltimore one is the famous one. The DC one was not well known at all, and they were really interesting designs because the DC one was in this weird building. It was like in this weird like office building kind of thing, and you go down to the basement and then you see these different tanks. So it was a very odd setup, but the DC one did have a very good theme, which was the National Marine Sanctuaries. So the United States has, I forget what the number is now. I don't know if it's like 13, more than 13. But the United States has a marine equivalent of national parks. I know, like, America is very, very famous for its national parks, like Shenandoah or Yosemite or like I think Glacier Bay National Park, if I have that right. But the marine equivalent of national parks in the United States is national marine sanctuaries. So Stellwagen Bank in New England, the Monitor Marine Sanctuary in North Carolina, Flower Garden Banks is a very famous one in the Gulf of Mexico, Florida Keys, I believe, or Florida Keys, right? Actually, let's look this up just to do a shout out for national marine sanctuaries. The point being, though, is that the National Aquarium in DC was themed on a sanctuary, so each tank related to a different sanctuary. So here we go. I just want to see a map of these. But the sanctuaries are really cool. This was, as far as the United States goes, this is probably the most... There we go. Florida Keys. Okay, I was right. It was Florida Keys. As far as the United States goes, this is probably the most famous kind of marine protected unit that we have. It's not necessarily the most extensive. I think there are a couple areas that are more like I think we have more like stringent MPAs in different parts of the United States, but this is definitely the most charismatic. The National Marine Sanctuary is the most charismatic. So, but the National Aquarium in DC used to have this. It used to be themed around the sanctuaries, and then the DC Aquarium, which, like, no surprise, didn't really get a lot of visitors, closed down, I think, early 10s, late 2000s, and I think the sanctuary's theme transitioned into the Baltimore Aquarium. So the Baltimore, which is now just the one National Aquarium. So, but the Baltimore Aquarium is really cool. It's probably an excellent aquarium to start with if you ever want to do like an aquarium road trip or like an aquarium tour. This is probably like a fantastic one to start the trip right. You know, it's I think it's just pretty solid. You know, it's just kind of like has all the classics as far as exhibits goes. It has a mix of a Chesapeake Bay focus, but also more of a national focus, like as far as the national marine sanctuaries go. So just quick shout out to the sanctuaries. Stellwagen Bank is really famous. Mallows Bay is brand new. That one is, I've never been to that one, and I really should actually, because that's actually a brand new kind of a shipwreck area. The Monitor is the first National Marine Sanctuary. It's actually very inaccessible. It's deep water. It's a deep water shipwreck of the famous USS Monitor, which is the first steel, or I guess iron, battleship, the ironclad Monitor. So it sank off of North Carolina. It's become a really great reef habitat for things like sand tiger sharks. So that's a really famous, or that was the first National Marine Sanctuary. You have Gray's Reef in Georgia, which is supposed to be very beautiful. Flower Garden Banks is supposed to be extremely beautiful. The Florida Keys, which are just amazing. Hawaiian Islands, Humpback Whale National Marine Sanctuary. This, Papa Hanamokuakea, I think this one is new. Marine National Monument. I think President Obama did this one, or like implemented this one. I forget. I have to probably check that later. I'll check that later. Yeah, I thought I know Obama did one of these, and actually George W. Bush, actually, believe it or not, was really instrumental in expanding national marine sanctuaries. So I believe each one of those presidents did something. I forget specifically what it is, but I believe each one of them actually did contribute to the national marine sanctuaries. Olympic Coast, Greater Farallones, Cordell Bank, Monterey Bay, Channel Islands. I had a friend who was there recently. A lot of great white sharks in that area. So yeah, but it's a really cool system. Just quick shout out to the American National Marine Sanctuaries. Very cool. But let's check out the Blacktip Reef Shark profile from the National Aquarium. And sorry about that. That was a very long tangent, but I just thought it'd be worth a shout out. So, all right. Let's see what the National Aquarium says about blacktip reef sharks. Blacktip reef sharks swim in shallow waters, just a few meters near reefs and drop-off zones. One of the characteristics, I guess this is like in the tank itself, because the National Aquarium has these sharks. One of the characteristics of blacktip reef sharks is a camaraderie in the way they swim in schools. Oh, interesting. Did you know these sharks sometimes jump fully out of the water during feeding frenzies? I actually did not know that. So, let's see what we have. Range, diet, size, 6 feet long. So it's backwards. It was like 1.8 meters. Okay. Well, that wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be. I built all that up, and that was actually a very small profile, so sorry about that. So, but while we're here, let's just check out. I am actually curious what National Aquarium has for sharks. So, horn shark. We won't go into each profile. I just want to see the collection. So, horn shark, nurse shark, sand tiger, sandbar shark. Nurse shark, sand tiger, and sandbar shark, every aquarium really has that in the United States, but the horn shark is not as common. Tasseled woebegone, that's not as common either, so that's pretty cool. There we go. Alright, cool. So, woebegone and horn shark, those are not ones that I really see too much in America, but nurse shark, sand tiger shark, and sandbar shark, they're kind of like the super triad. Like these three are typically together in, at least on the East Coast, these three are typically together in aquariums, so which is pretty interesting. So oh cool, send some pics of the bike to the email. Let me check that out. I think I could do like an airdrop. And let me pull up some blacktip footage while I figure out how to let's do, because I don't think Roy was here for the adults, so this is actually some really cool footage of adult blacktip reef sharks. And also, again, with that study, you can kind of see this is clearly deeper water. It's still, it's still shallow water coral reef habitat, but it's clearly not, a shallow sand flat habitat. So, very cool. Whoa, that is a cool. Okay, yeah. Let me see. I can do an airdrop, right? Okay, I'm trying to do, I don't know if I could do an airdrop while I'm doing a live stream. Should be able to. Sorry, Howard, that is a super cool bike. I heard the beep. Okay, I think that picture is coming, so, okay. I think this is gonna work. Sorry, I keep looking at my phone, but I do think this is gonna work. I think I have so many tabs open, and with the eCam open, it's probably gonna While we're waiting for this, quick update, Roy, we're gonna have a new guest streamer or live stream. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me just open this. There we go. And close out of my files. Close out of my files. Close out of my files. Sorry, I just like at a quick glance, I don't know if I have personal information on there. So anyway, but this is worth it. This is super, super cool. Man, Howard, this isn't... I don't know anything about motorcycles, but that looks absolutely awesome. So, 1948. That is so cool. I really love like I feel like older definitely like older cars, you know, like had sort of like an artistry to them, and I feel like this is absolutely falls in that category. Like, you know, this is a beautiful bike. This is so cool looking, and I love the coloration, like or like the paint job on it. This is so cool looking. Super cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Like that is a badass looking bike. It's so cool looking. This is awesome. So, oh, let me go back. It's a hammerhead shark. Sorry if the audio got a little fuzzy. So, 35 years. Man, that is a well-built machine. 35 years. That is really cool. Like, man, that dude, you took care of that. That's crazy. Man, congratulations. That is, you know, I'm starring that actually, because it's like that for any, I think any kind of vehicle to last that long, 35 years. That's pretty amazing. So, dude, kudos to that. So, thanks for sharing, man. That's really awesome. Right, let's see what else we got on our Blacktip Reef Shark. I want to see if I can get another summary. Not fish base, not Florida. Let's see if we can do Australian Museum, maybe. Let's see. I just want to see if there's any new facts on this. Because these... Oh, actually, this might be new. This might be new footage. Oh, this is new footage. Okay. Let's see if we can make that bigger. Okay, there we go. There we go. This diver's kind of cracking me up a little bit. Yeah, it's not really. You can't really see the shark as much as you could see the divers in this clip. I was just kind of curious what this was, but this is an official clip from the Australian Museum, which is kind of cool. Actually, that was an interesting little behavior just now. Like, hold on. That shark definitely was interested in the diver for a second. Look at that. Wait, let me zoom in on that. Howard and I were talking about kind of behavioral studies as far as like you can review footage and see different shark behaviors potentially. This one is really interesting where this individual is definitely interested in his diver for whatever reason. You know, it has all the space and, you know, he's making this turn and he's clearly going right up to the diver's fins. So I wonder what that is about, like as far as like, you know, is it curiosity? You know... Sorry. It's interesting. You can't see clearly. I can't zoom in. But a couple things come to mind is this, you know, I don't think this is a territorial behavior. You know, the shark does not look aggressive. The posturing does not look aggressive. The shark looks pretty casual. So maybe it's like a curiosity bite, you know, or maybe or a curiosity bump. So not even a bite, but some sharks do bump different objects just to kind of get like a read on them, or just kind of out of curiosity. So that's a pretty interesting piece of behavior. I don't know. What do you guys think as far as like what's going on in this interaction where the shark is just bumping the diver? So I don't know. This is a cool species to study, like as far as like behavioral science goes. Comments are turned off, so we don't have things on this, but there's no comments on the Australian website itself, so I don't know if there's additional insights on that. So fins probably look like food. That's a good guess. really love to see blacktips in shallow water someday. Yes, same here. I was saying that earlier. Yeah, man, if we like, you know what we should do if we ever hit it big, if we ever do like a huge, like, if for some reason something like Leonardo DiCaprio watches the stream, is a big fan, tells out his friends about it, and we've got like 2 billion subscribers, we should do like a vacation and like go to the Maldives to be a blacktip sharks. You know, just the original, just the original viewers. Like I think that'll be kind of like a cool trip. But yeah, we need Leo's endorsement. But let's see what other studies that we have on this. This one was kind of interesting. It's tiny text, but it's the National University of Singapore. And it's weird. There's a couple. I did a quick scan of this. There was a couple things that sound a little iffy, but there's a lot of information in here that sounded really cool. So let's kind of check out this profile. Because this is interesting. It's phrased kind of strangely, but as a city-state which has undergone much urbanization, Singapore is generally not regarded to possess high ecological value. Nevertheless, sightings of charismatic organisms suggest that the situation might not be as dire. Of these organisms, few have evoked as wide a range of emotions as the shark. This page therefore seeks to highlight a shark which can be found in Singapore, the Carcharhinus melanopterus Blacktip Reef Shark. It's kind of interesting. I think this is a good example of... There are different shark studies around the world that this, I don't know if this is called syntax or like this phrasing to me is odd, you know, but you know it doesn't mean it's like bad per se. Like there's different studies, like there's different English studies around the world that culturally things are phrased kind of differently, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily bad. Or like I don't know. It's one thing I've noticed as I've read like different international papers, where like you can see like a difference in terms of like style, you know, which is, it's still the same information, but just kind of interesting shout out to that. So one of the craziest things I've ever seen was this is a totally different category, but there was like a news story. It's somewhere in the Middle East where they were talking about bull sharks swimming up. It's either the Tigris or Euphrates River. It's one of the major rivers in the Middle East, and there was a story about how like the shark was placed there by like enemy military. I was like, it's just like it was a wild thing. So, but yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going on tangents tonight. Let's see. Let's check out. I didn't even pull up IUCN Red List. Let's check that out really quick. I do want to see the status of the species. Sorry about that. I usually have this. This is a staple. And we'll go back. We'll go back to this page. Carcharhinus melanopterus. For any future viewers, this website is fantastic. It's kind of like the go-to for conservation, and it's not just sharks. Like so many different species, plant and animal, and beyond. So apparently, IUCN Red List is saying this species is vulnerable. So that's not as bad. As far as extinction risk goes, that's not as bad. So. Okay, interesting. So I just wanted to check that really quick. I was just curious about the status. Let's go back to this website. Little food chain diagram. Interesting. So relevant. This is interesting. A little relevance to Singapore section. 4 species of shark have been recently observed in Singapore. Blacktip reef shark, slender bamboo shark, Singapore coral cat shark, and bull shark. That's interesting. Local encounters with sharks have been rare. Interesting. Map of Singapore. It's actually really cool to see. This is a reef map of Singapore. So orange is fringing reefs around offshore islands of coastlines. Green is patch reefs, submerged at high tide, exposed at low tide. And this is actually a really cool diagram. This is these photos of individual blacktip reef sharks are attributed to these locations around Singapore. So that's pretty interesting. Nevertheless, Singapore is a very significant node in the global trade of shark fin and is second only to Hong Kong. I did not know that. I knew Hong Kong was the big place where that trade happens, unfortunately. I didn't know that Singapore was number 2 in that, so. The depletion of shark populations all over the world is likely to lead to devastating trophic cascades. In particular, declining reef shark populations have been observed to be an important cause of coral reef degradation. So, this is interesting. This is an interesting website. Because it's talking about cultural things too. There are communities, particularly in Hawaii, who believe that sharks embody the spirits of their ancestors. There's hence an emotional and spiritual connection between human communities and sharks. The Blacktip Reef Shark, which is found in close proximity to many of these communities, therefore have many vernacular names. So English has Blacktip Reef Shark, Blackfin Reef Shark, Blacktip Snillo, or Culliman. Malay, Tamil, Tagalog, Thai, Vietnamese, Katasura. That's actually, I kind of like that one. That's cool. Latin name melanopterus means black wing or black fin. So melanopterus literally means black fin. Talking about the differences between the blacktip reef shark and the classic blacktip shark. Different habitats. And yes, so blacktip sharks have a sharper snout, whereas blacktip reef sharks don't. And yes, I was talking about this at the beginning of the stream. Blacktip reef sharks have definitely much more distinct coloration. These aren't really high resolution photos, but you can see like just how bold and blotchy those black tips are for blacktip reef sharks, and then the classic blacktip shark, you could barely see it. So they do look completely different, and I think blacktip reef sharks are unmistakable. Blacktip sharks, you can kind of confuse them with like spinner sharks or other species pretty easily. So let's see. I'm just kind of scanning through the rest of this. Okay, this is odd. Let's check the source on this. Additionally, sharks also appear to exhibit active choice in joining a group. Once formed, groups have been observed to reject interaction with other groups. Group behavior is likely to be advantageous to a shark. That's kind of a big claim. Let's check that out. Source 10. Sorry. I'm kind of curious what that is. And I just noticed this is a WordPress website. Oh, well, no, maybe... Oh. Wait a minute, what is this? Sorry, Shark Research, Johan Murrier. Behavioral ecology of sharks from individual behavior to population structure. This is interesting. Let me check up on the comments really quick, so... Just saw the comment, Roy, on the other black tips. Yeah, so other black tips, that's actually a species we have here, the Carcharhinus lombatus, so it's pretty cool. I just saw your comment, Howard, that would be awesome. Yes, beach trip with like shallow water and just clear water and these blacktip reef sharks would be amazing. This is a really interesting website. I've never seen this before. I do want to see the introduction on this. What is this? This is interesting. This is an interesting website because this looks like research, but this is very public. Dr. Johan Murrier. This is a fascinating website. Seems legit. Sorry, I'm just checking the CV. Okay, yeah, this is really interesting. Let's go back to that, research. It was social networks of sharks. This is interesting. This is not like a journal. This is like a private website, but it looks like from a marine scientist. So I've never seen this before. This is pretty fascinating. Association data for 133 regularly sighted blacktip reef sharks were obtained from photo identification surveys conducted between 2008 and 2010 in Moria coral reefs, French Polynesia. Moria was the place that we were talking about last week with the simple fin lemon sharks. The reason I remember is I'm a nerd, and it sounds like Moria for alert, fully different. But this is the same location as the simple lemon sharks. So this is a fascinating place. Wow. I haven't heard of Moria until last week. So this is definitely a happening place for shark research. Let's see. Based on association data, we adapted a recently developed social network approach to demonstrate evidence of forming communities and 2 sub-communities within the population surveyed. Huh. Results show for the first time that sharks form spatial groups characterized by non-random and long-term associations, despite opportunities for social relationships to develop between communities. We conclude that the observed grouping patterns not only resulted from passive aggregations for specific resources, but rather the communities have been developed from an active choice of individuals as a sign of sociability. So, okay, this scientist sounds legit, but I'm putting an asterisk because this isn't on a journal. But I think I have seen this name before, Johan Murrier. I think I've seen this name before. This suggests that a stable grouping strategy may confirm substantial benefits in this marine predator. Individual preferences and adaptation to local conditions, as well as demographic, ecological, and anthropogenetic factors, may explain the social variability between units. That's kind of wild. I've never really heard of that, but that's pretty fascinating. I love that. Look at this. This is so cool. This is like humpback whales, like that. You can look at these patterns of the blacktip reef shark fins and see that they're actually kind of different, and you can identify individuals with that. That's actually kind of amazing. Like, that is so cool. Wow, I didn't even realize there was that much variance in the fin patterns. But you can tell, like, you can totally tell. Look at that. Especially individual H. Individual H has a very tiny tip. Individual D has a unique little arch towards the rear of the fin on that side. That is actually pretty amazing. And here we go. This is pretty cool. Blacktip Reef Shark social network and the spatial use of its communities. So, I'm assuming these are individuals in these different bubbles, and this is the range map of the bubbles. So, like the red grouping. Okay, yeah, the red grouping, 765. The yellow grouping, the green grouping, and the blue grouping. This is a really interesting study. It's cool how we can fingerprint their fin blotches. Yes, I like. Again, it's like humpback whales. And I think white sharks have had studies like that too. But like, at the same time, I just noticed the music switched to like Batman. No, we were in Zoo Tycoon vibes. We were Zoo Tycoon. Zoo Tycoon. Go back to the website. Zoo Tycoon. There we go. What was I saying? Sorry, the music threw me off. Yeah, the fin blotches. So I think white sharks, you can identify individuals at a fin level, but I think this is the first shark on the stream that we have this, where it's like there's a data set down to individuals based on like how the fins look. It's super, super cool. Let's see. Oh, here we go. The males are squares, the females are circles. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Node size is proportional to the length of individuals. Okay. Okay, so this will be interesting because we remember from the earlier study, was it smaller sharks, male and female, tend to be in shallower water. Larger sharks tend to be in deeper water. Females have higher sight fidelity. Males tend to roam more. Larger males tend to roam more. So let's see if there's any pattern as far as size differences. So for example, the red group kind of looks like it has more smaller individuals. Red group is on this edge, but that kind of looks like a shelf, like not really in the shallow area. And ironically, okay, interesting, the yellow group has larger individuals. That seems to be closer inshore. The green group has small individuals, and it's kind of in the shelf a little bit. And then the blue group has a funny mix of large and small individuals, kind of sort of, definitely larger females. In fact, I don't know if this is a shape thing or I don't know, it might be a shape thing. Never mind. Large males and large females are in yellow. Large females are in green. Large males and large females are in blue. Large females, I don't know. Like, I think I'm kind of getting the impression that smaller individuals actually are kind of liking this little shelf area right here. Or not shelf, but like this outer edge of the lagoon right here. And then maybe larger individuals are kind of liking this blue area near the mouth of what looks like a kind of river. I don't know. Or inlet, at least. That's pretty interesting. So, let's see. This is cool. This is another genetic. Oh! Sicklefin lemon sharks also form social groups. You know what this is? You know what? Is this the same person? Or is this different? This is interesting. This is definitely... this might be related to last week. Like, these individuals, like... unless this is a completely different study, I don't remember if Klua was a part of the study that we were talking about last week. But, this whole thing about, like, genetics and, like... or social groups. I don't know. It could be a different study. It could be a different study with a different group of individuals called like MO9, MO7. So I think this might be a different study because I don't remember Klua. But it is interesting seeing the Sicklefin lemon shark back as far as like sharks studied in Moria. And we're trying to kind of figure out their like sociology, And if anyone's interested in shark behavior or sociology or social groups or genetics, Moria apparently is the place to be. This is really, really interesting. So, Oh, no worries, Roy. No worries. Have a good day tomorrow. Hope you have a good rest of your week. Just saw your note that you had to go. So, but thanks so much for tuning in. It was good to see you again. And cheers, man. Cheers. So, let me go ahead and close out of this study. But it's just so fascinating to kind of see, like, you know, these are the kind of studies that we have, or like we're doing with sharks in this location. So, man, if anybody's into shark behavior, this species, the sicklefin lemon shark, and that location of Moria, probably a really good place to be. So, let's see what else we've got here. This one would be kind of interesting. Response of Blacktip Reef Sharks, Carcharhinus melanopterus to shark bite mitigation products. That might be a good one to kind of wind down with. So, before I dive into this, Howard, did you have a preference? I don't know if Rory's still here. I'm assuming he left, but any preference on next week's shark? I don't think my special guest will be here next week, so it's free reign on whatever shark that we want to cover for next week. And I'm actually pretty open to anything. Yeah, I'm pretty open to anything, I think. So I have some ideas, but I like you to pick though, like just for suggestions for next week. So let's see. I won't read this whole abstract, but I'm kind of curious about some of these shark bite mitigation products. I'm kind of curious about what these are. Although, wait a minute. I'm not a fan of this first sentence. I'm not going to lie. Globally, the frequency of shark bites is rising, resulting in increased demand for shark deterrence and measures to lessen the impact of shark bites on humans. I don't really like that sentence, personally, because I'm like, really? 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 You know, it's like, shark attacks are so rare, and let's just breeze. I'm gonna breeze through this. Like, I'm sorry, but like, shark attacks are so rare. Statistically, it's such a rare thing that, like, I just feel like, yes, if you had, you know, last year we had 200 bites, this year we had 250 bites, you can say that's a rise. But the reality is, like, that is such a tiny data set, and that is so small that I don't really know if that's, like, I don't know. I definitely, I raise a few eyebrows with that. And then also at the same time, like, you know, more people are going to the beach. There's more people in the world. You know, there's a higher risk of, like, you know, interacting with a shark. I mean, but it doesn't mean that shark behavior has changed. You know, it means human behavior has changed. Or it's a tiny data set, and, you know, a year where there might be more shark bites or shark attacks is like an anomaly in that tiny data set. I don't know. It just that kind of bothers me. Sorry, I don't mean to drag this article, but, you know, let's just breathe through it. I'm kind of curious. Because you think about, like, dog bites, you know, like, dog bites are so much more common than shark bites. You know, mosquito bites, like. Deer kill so many more people than sharks. You know, like, deer running into cars. Like, yeah, it's just, Okay, Kevlar material. It's like Dark Knight Batman suit. So, also I think soldiers, like military, uses Kevlar. I think riot police use Kevlar. I could be totally making this up, but I think Kevlar is a very popular kind of like body armor material. Scuba 7? Yeah, I don't know. I really don't mean to drag this study, although this does remind me there is a really cool scientist who I do want to do a shout out, because he also seems like the nicest guy. I'm a huge fan of Oh, sorry. Craig O'Connell. Let's see. I wonder if he has a website. Craig O'Connell Shark. I guess he has a Twitter. Oh, OCs. Yeah, he does this. Okay, OCs. Okay. It's probably not a great advertisement of like what Craig O'Connell does, but so sorry. So random tangent. Dr. Craig O'Connell is a super cool guy. He actually does really interesting studies. It's been a while since I've checked up on his research, but he does these really interesting studies on magnets and how magnets interfere with shark senses, like the electromagnetic sense. He does this primarily with bull sharks. I think he's tried this on white sharks too. But anyway, his studies are very interesting. I really like how he's designed some of his research studies with the magnets. I think as far as like shark deterrence, his approach is probably one of the best, and I really appreciate what he does. He's also the nicest guy. He's like famous on Shark Week, but I've talked to him a couple times. Like indirectly. I haven't met him in person, but like through social media or through just like random interactions with Dr. Jaws, we've had like a little bit of communication, and he's like the nicest guy. He's super, super cool. But Craig O'Connell Shark Magnets. I'm genuinely a fan of his research. But this whole thing kind of reminds me of this. Let's see. Oh, that's it. That's it. Shark Safe Barrier. Sorry, that was it. Dun, 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 dun. And I do think this is really interesting. Vims did an interesting study a couple years ago about certain alloys in shark hooks. Or sorry, not shark hooks, but fishing hooks that are meant to deter sharks, which is a genius idea. I don't think there was a lot of headway with it as far as the research goes, but it is a genius idea. Let's see. Wow, look at that. Okay, so if I'm seeing this correctly, I don't know if we'll have a lot of time to dive into this tonight, but this is basically it kind of is like a kelp forest of magnets that is meant, or like it's like a fence, or a kelp forest is like a fence of magnets that is meant to deter sharks. So, excuse me. Let's see. So I guess this is one implemented with a white shark right here. So as far as like shark deterrent devices, I think Craig's research on the magnets has been the best and kind of the most well designed and most interesting, frankly. So there's a lot of other things that are I kind of think are just like less effective. But this is the only one that I'm kind of interested in terms of like, yeah, it's a good idea. I feel like the research has been really well tested. So just want to do a shout out to Dr. Craig O'Connell with magnets. So let's see. Frilled shark or goblin shark? Let's do the goblin shark, because we did the frilled shark a couple months ago, but we could definitely do the goblin shark. That will be an awesome one for next week. So let's definitely do that. Riding gear from Kevlar. Gotcha. So thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely do the goblin shark next week. So let me go back to this thing. I might close this out, actually. Oh, Kevlar neoprene. Gotcha. Yeah. This doesn't seem like a bad study. That first sentence really threw me off, but this seems pretty legit. Let's just go to the discussion. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. Man, because I really hate that. The global rise in shark attacks is prominent in the development of new method. Like, I really hate that because it's like, it's not really, it's not like this, it's not a thing. It's like, it's not, there's no global rise in shark bites. It's either more humans are going to the beach or like, the data set is so tiny that any change sways it. I think Howard, you might have mentioned a comment. It so reflects humans invading increasingly more habitat. Yes, I think I agree with that. I think that's really, what's going on. It's like, it's so small. Like let's check out the shark attack file. Actually, we've never seen this before. Not files. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Florida Museum does this. International shark attack file. Okay, maps and data. Oh, yearly worldwide shark attack summary. Like, look at this. Like, 2022, right? 108 bites across the entire world. 108 bites. That is just ridiculous. That is so tiny. Like, yeah, global total of unprovoked shark bites significantly lower than average. Yes, like any change to this data set is significant because it's a tiny data set. Like, it's kind of amazing. I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting now. I'm awake. Like, I'm kind of getting up in arms in this. U.S. leads world in number of unprovoked bites. Yes, because we probably have what, 41 bites. It's so small. It's so small. Let me check snake bites. Let's just try it. Snake bites. Snake bite statistics. Annually, 7,000 to 8,000 Americans are bitten by snakes. Okay. Center for CDC. 7,000 to 8,000 people are bitten by snakes in the United States. Now, you can make an argument, of course, that, like, we are a terrestrial species and we live more on land and everything, sure. But that is still a radical difference between, like, how dangerous is a snake versus how dangerous is a shark. 78,000 people, snake bites. 41 people in the United States, 41 people in the same country, shark bites. It is the rarest thing. And it's just like, it just kills me when it's like, I'm sorry, I really don't mean to knock this research, but it's just like when they say like the global rise in shark attacks, it's like, you've got to be kidding me. It's like it's so small. It is such a small data set. So, unprovoked. Yes, good point. Because like that's a good point. I mean, like where are we? Unprovoked. What was it? Unprovoked bites are defined as incidents which a bite on live human occurs in the shark's natural habitat with no human provocation of the shark. So, yeah, like provoked occurs when human initiates interaction with some shark in some way. But like unprovoked is like, how much of these are diving incidents? How much of these are like bathing incidents? It's like, even any of it, so it's just like, oh man, it's so small. It's so small. It's just like, it's such a tiny data set. So like my gripe is, I feel like this is so small, you can't say the global rise in shark attacks. It's kind of like saying, there's a recent news story of like, I don't know why I'm focusing on this, but there's a recent news story of like these 80 seniors who got in trouble for a senior prank this year, right? That's 80 individuals, right? 80 seniors. And it's like, it's kind of like, I feel like it's the equivalent of saying like, the global rise in seniors getting in trouble, or the global rise of seniors creating vandalism. It's like, I'm really on the soapbox right now, but it's just like, I just think it's ridiculous. It's statistically, and the statistics matter. It's so tiny. And I feel like that's not the focus. That's not really what the focus should be when we talk about sharks. Is that shark attacks are so sensationalized. They're so like, it's like their rareness is the very reason why they're newsworthy. Like the fact that they are so rare is why they're shocking and they capture people's imagination is because they're so rare. Snake bites don't capture people's imagination. Snake bites don't make the news. Because they're fairly common, and it's just like I don't know. It really just grinds my gears because sharks need conservation help, and it's just this is not the thing that we should be focusing on. So, oh my gosh, yeah, risk of being bitten by a shark remains extremely low. Yep, it does. So sorry about that. I'm gonna X out of that study, and I apologize to the researchers because that does seem like a legit that does seem like legit research. The method wasn't really wrong. It's just the whole idea of the global rise is ridiculous to me. So yeah. They should identify by activity. I'm just catching up your comments, Howard. Spearfishing, surfing. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Because spearfishing, for example, yes, that actually could fall into unprovoked. But if you are actively spearfishing, where you are causing your the speared fish to bleed and struggle, that is actually stimulating a shark in that environment. So that's a really good point. That's a good one. If you don't understand shark behavior, how would you know what provoked it? It's a good point as well. It is interesting. I genuinely do think I've mentioned it a couple times before. I genuinely do think sharks like the white shark, tiger shark, oceanic whitetip, and bull shark are genuinely dangerous animals as far as not as in monsters at all, but just like lions or tigers, they're genuinely animals that deserve respect. I do think they're opportunistic feeders. I do think that there are incidents where those four species probably are not curious, they probably are actually actively predating. In some cases of their shark attacks. I do think there are some cases of white shark attacks where the shark is curious, and is not really maybe understand doing a curiosity bite, but because it's such a big, powerful animal, it's fatal. But all that being said, it's just I forgot where I was going with this. It's just I think shark attack in general is over sensationalized, and it's not a monster. It's an animal that needs to be treated with respect. So, yes, all wild animal. I'm starring that all wild animals should be treated with respect. Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And it's just I think it's just sensationalism with sharks is just the thing that's just it's so irritating. Because it's it's a group of animals that really needs help, and it doesn't help them, and it kind of hurts them, as far as how we approach them. So, but anyway, we're almost at 11, so I think that's enough research for tonight. I might switch back to the video in a second. I do want to just scan through some of these summary websites. I do want to see if there's any last little bits of behavior we've got. And also, it's actually really cool that it's almost 11 o'clock because it kind of goes to show how much research we have on this species. There's a lot of material on this species. So, really great shark for study. Oh, interesting. Along with the gray reef shark and the white-tip reef shark, the blacktip reef shark is one of the three most common sharks inhabiting coral reefs in the Indo-Pacific. This species predominates in shallow habitats, where the other two are mostly found deeper. That's interesting. As far as I never really knew that shallow water is kind of more of this guy's niche, and deeper water is more of the realm of the gray reef sharks and the white-tip reef sharks. That's pretty interesting. I don't know as much about the other two. I do know that gray reef sharks are more aggressive, and that they've been featured in interesting studies of aggression behavior. Gray reef sharks have been studied as far as aggressive body posturing. Divers have observed gray reef sharks swimming erratically as kind of a warning before they kind of hound divers. So, which is pretty interesting. Interesting habitat segregation again. Younger sharks prefer shallow sandy flats, while older sharks are more common around reef ledges and can also be found near reef drop-offs. Oh, this species has also been reported. We've seen brackish estuaries before in lakes in Madagascar and freshwater environments in Malaysia, although it is not able to tolerate low salinity to the same degree as the bull shark. That's interesting. I've never heard of this species going into actual fresh water, so I don't think, I would be kind of skeptical about that, but I definitely think it's an estuarine species, but I don't know about going into full fresh water. It's pretty interesting. What website is this? Jungle Dragon. This is actually a really good profile. This is this cool photo website that we saw last week, but it's actually a pretty good profile. No way. Off northern Australia, the species is known to consume sea snakes? No way, that sounds too good to be true. That's actually really cool if they can do that, but do they really do that? No way. Let's check Florida Museum really quick. Conservation, habitat biology, features, food habits. Whoa! Interestingly, the species is also reported to have consumed terrestrial and sea snakes. Oh my gosh! Cool, alright. I'm trusting Florida Museum of Natural History, so blacktip reef sharks eat sea snakes. That's crazy! That is so cool. Man. That's a good surprise. I might wrap the stream up on that, actually, because that's a cool fact I never knew, actually, so... Alright, so let's go back to some. Let's do the baby blacktips because this is such good footage. So I think we're gonna end. Oh, sorry, probably should not have made this huge. I think we're gonna end on this, but let's see. I just saw your comment. It's the inflammatory wording that isn't helpful. Yes, I totally agree about shark sensationalism in general. And then also, I think with that study in particular, just like when you phrase it like the global rise of shark attacks, it's just like, it's really weird phrasing. Like, you know, it's a strange thing to say, you know, like with the size of the data. So I definitely agree with that. But anyway, this was an exciting stream. There was so much information on the species. We definitely didn't get to cover it all, but I think we got a really cool chunk across a lot of different things, both like with video footage, behavioral studies, like how the shark interacts with its habitat, social grouping, social segregation, and then also just like a nice little discussion on just like shark sensationalism. So this was a really cool one. I actually had a lot of fun working with Blacktip Reef Shark tonight. But thanks so much for joining. Hope you have a great rest of your week, Howard. Thanks also for showing your bike and for the fantastic artwork. I can't wait for I think during like when the year winds down, we're absolutely going to do like a holiday special just with all the pieces of art together. So I can't wait for that. But I'll keep you guys posted on. I think our guest star is going to be here not next week, but maybe the week after. I think is when we'll do that that special stream. So I'm really excited about that. But I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much for watching. It's so much for joining, and just take care, man. So have a good night.